Hello, my name is Emily, and the rhetorical message that I chose was a speech by Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known as AOC. In this speech, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez addressed the House on July 23rd, 2020, in response to Representative Ted Yoho's inappropriate comments to her on the steps of the Capitol building. The incident in question occurred on July 20th, 2020, when Yoho approached AOC, calling her disgusting, crazy, out of her mind, and dangerous. Yoho was referring to comments AOC had made about a link between New York City crime and a rise in poverty. AOC told Yoho that he was being rude and walked away, and he responded when he thought that she couldn't hear and called her a effing bee. Representative Ocasio-Cortez represents New York's 14th District and is a Democrat. She's the youngest woman to serve in the United States Congress and is oftentimes controversial because she is young and she's progressive, with a social media presence that she tries to connect with the younger generation of voters on. She receives backlash from Republicans, mostly for her Green New Deal plan, which pushes for 100% clean, renewable energy by 2030. AOC comes from a working class background where she was a bartender and a waitress prior to being elected as a representative of Congress. She's been a representative now for 2 years and has graduated cum laude from Boston University with a BA in Internal Relations and Economics. She's worked on Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign and has interned for Ted Kennedy. Representative Ted Yoho is a representative for Florida's 3rd District and is a Republican. He has had controversial moments for his comments on exclusive voting rights for property owners and a vote against making lynching a federal hate crime. He has been a representative for 7 years and has a doctorate in veterinary medicine at the University of Florida College of Veterinary Medicine. Following the incident on the Capitol steps, Ted Yoho issued a statement on the House floor where he denied saying inappropriate comments and stated, "I cannot apologize for my passion or for loving my God, my family, and my country." He mentioned how he had a wife and daughters and defended himself by stating, "No one was accosted, bullied, or attacked." The rhetorical message that I chose is AOC's rebuttal to Yoho's statement. In this speech, she draws parallels on how women have to deal with men's abusive behaviors, and she makes a point to talk about how she is a congresswoman, and he felt okay talking to her and about her in that nature. In her speech, she says, "I want to be clear that Representative Yoho's comments were not deeply hurtful or piercing to me. Women naturally get an emotional label when they speak up against inappropriate actions, especially in the workplace." In her speech, we are reminded that this abuse can happen anywhere, even on the steps of our nation's capital. This speech occurs on July 23rd, 2020, and for context purposes, it is 100 years since women have gained the right to vote. Donald Trump is the president of the United States, and he has been accused of multiple accounts of sexual misconduct and misogynistic slurs. Women's rights and marches have gone on each year since Trump was elected. The audience for this AOC speech is women in America. Any woman who has had to endure sexual misconduct and inappropriateness in the workplace could relate to AOC's speech. Another audience would be feminists, as AOC definitely does not accept a half-given apology and instead holds her head up high and demands better from men, which goes against the norm for a representative, as normal behavior would have been to accept the apology and move on. Now, moving on to my analysis, the rhetorical pattern that I found was a pattern of repetition. AOC repeats the word dignity throughout her speech. It's a central theme of this rebuttal and the reason why she's even acknowledging Representative Yoho's actions. She initially mentions dignity when she speaks of her constituents, the reason she shows up to work each day. She insinuates that she should have been treated with dignity when she points out that Yoho used these words against a congresswoman. It deepens the significance that Yoho was able to use these words against a respectable colleague. She mentions how she has been treated by the Republican Party and our president, and how there is a pattern of dehumanization, which takes away any sense of dignity for her. She talks about her parents and how she's saddened that her mother had to witness the disrespect. She mentions dignity when she talks about how having a daughter and a wife doesn't make a man decent. And I think overall her speech shows her dignity, because even though Yoho clearly did not respect her, she used this moment as a lesson to call out the abusive behavior that women of all backgrounds, ethnicities, and occupations see. My interpretation of this message is that it is okay for a younger generation of women to stand up and embrace change. Historically, women are taught to make ourselves smaller and to make sure others are comfortable. Many women in this situation would have ignored the comment or accepted the non-apology for what it was, to not make waves. Instead, AOC gives us permission to have standards and boundaries and to speak up when those are not met with respect and dignity. She has been doing this her entire career, and this artifact represents the fight that women have had on our shoulders and that we're taught to push down on a daily basis. She speaks out and says, no, this is not the norm, it is not acceptable, and we as women should not be silenced. For my evaluation, I think that she was effective in her speech and that she did get her point across when she ended her speech with, you can be a powerful man and accost women. You can have daughters and accost women without remorse. You can be married and accost women. You can take photos and project an image into the world of being a family man and accost women without remorse and with a sense of impunity. That moment felt like a punch to the stomach for women everywhere, because it's true. Just because a man portrays himself as a family man doesn't mean that he isn't capable of being an accoster. Having an emotional appeal to women made this speech very impactful. Thank you.